Hey guys, this is going to help us complete this lab about waves. Our idea here is to figure out how frequency and amplitude affect the wavelength. So, on the Google Doc, I suggest that first of all you have the two tabs open like I have here. On the Google Doc, if you read through this step by step, I try to make it as clear as I can of what we should be doing. So starting with number 1, access the waves on the string, so I'm already there, through the link. Make sure the green box on the left corner is set to oscillate. So look at my mouse over here, the green box over here. I'm going to press oscillate. And on the right side, I'm going to press no end. So make sure those settings are there. Next, it says play with the amplitude in the bottom box. So I have some questions I need to answer. This is where you're going to be able to maneuver things. I can change my amplitude, as you see here. So for this first question, when I increase the amplitude, simply answer, what do you notice? When I decrease the amplitude, what do we notice, right? Next, you're going to move it back to the original. Try to get as close as you can. And then you're going to play with the frequency. Same thing, but for this time, I want you to realize what happens to the wavelength. So if I increase my frequency, what do you notice about the wavelength? If I decrease my frequency, what do you notice about the wavelength? All right, so that's just our beginning observations. We need to measure our wavelength, okay? So I'm just going to reset this here to go back to our original numbers. So my amplitude is at 1.25 actually, which is about the highest it can be. And my frequency is 2.05. 2.05, perfect. And my wavelength. So I need to measure my wavelength here. So what we can do is we can pause this. You're going to click on the rulers over here. And you can actually drag the rulers wherever you want. And I suggest you start at the top of a crest and you move, measure it to the next crest. So for this example, I would say that this wavelength would be about 3. Okay? And that's our control we're going to use. Down here, we are going to change my amplitude. I'm going to keep my frequency the same. I'm going to see how that affects my wavelength. So look at the colors here. Take it step by step. Answer the questions in order, and the appropriate color answer is matched down here. So for example, you're going to record your measured wavelength, which I said at the top was 3. So this is an orange box. I'm going to put, for example, here, I'm going to put 3 centimeters. Okay? And you don't need to have your answers highlighted. It's okay if you do. But next one, pick a lower amplitude. So I'm going to change my amplitude. All right? And record it in the next amplitude spot. So I changed it. Now for this particular example, my amplitude is 0.97. So the yellow box here, I'm going to put right here, 0.97. Okay? I'm going to continue the motion again. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to measure the wavelength. Right? Whatever your measurement for the next wavelength will go here. And you're going to keep going through this until this table is full. Answer some questions about what you observe when the amplitude change. What do we notice about the wavelength? Does it increase? Does it decrease? Does it stay the same? And how do you know that? And then the last part of this, very similar thing. We're going to move my amplitude up to 125. My frequency is going to start here. So notice my wavelength for this one should still be the 3 centimeters, right? Let's just double check. Yep, that still looks like 3 centimeters to me. And then you're going to continue with this process, but instead of changing the amplitude, you're going to be changing the frequency. So let's say my frequency, I'm going to make this next one 0.99. Okay, I'm going to play the simulation again, pause it. You might run into this where you can't fit a whole wavelength in the screen, but there's a simple way around it. So if this is a crest and this is a trough, right? This would be half of a wavelength. And that actually looks about 3 to me. So if this is half of a wavelength at this setting and it's 3, a full wavelength here would be about 6, right? So again, you're going to use the colors to help you figure out where your answers are going, but continue this process, kind of summarize it here. When the frequency gets smaller, the wavelength gets what, and explain how you know that. Kind of pull in the evidence you got from this lab into your answer. Once you're all done with this, on Google Classroom, you should have the option of turning it in, which you all need to do, and that should be it. So again, just read through this step by step and email me if you have any questions.